I think one of the questions anglers have when it comes to flipping and pitching is what bait do I need to use and under what situation should I use it? And I think in cold water, the number one choice should always be the jig. And by cold water, I mean water temperature that's maybe 55 degrees and colder, wintertime conditions, and conditions leading up to the spawn, pre-spawn conditions. For me, the number one choice is a jig. It emulates a crawfish. It's something you move slow. You fish it pretty slow. You don't put a lot of action in it. You're just putting it down into those places where you think a bass lives. Now, once we get into spawning season itself, the flipping tube is the way to go. This looks like a crawfish. It also looks like a bluegill to the fish. You try to put it around the spawning beds. It's going to kind of, get the anger factor out in the fish and intimidate them into biting. So this is a great, great choice. Now, once we get beyond the spawn, into the summertime, you want more action in your lures. Something like the rage crawl where you got the tails that actually move as it's falling, that can be a good choice to flip and pitch around cover. Now, when we get into the matted cover, then I want something that'll punch down to that cover rather easy, so I'll go with a rodent style bait. You can also use something with action, but if you use something with action, it's a little harder to pull down through that cover, so you need to always go with the heavier slip sinker in front of it. Here, for instance, I've got the 1.5 ounce slip sinker, and irregardless of which one of these plastic baits I'm fishing, I'm going to go with a real heavy flipping style hook. This particular hook obviously is a heavy-duty mustad hook that's made for flipping and pitching. Now, the lines I use in these scenarios, if the water's clear and I'm not going into real heavy cover, I'm going to use the Tatsu in 25-pound test. This, without a doubt, is my favorite line of all time. It's just awesome for all techniques, but in flipping and pitching, where you're putting all that torque on fish, you do not have to worry about getting broke off. With 25-pound Tatsu, I'm going to get the biggest bass out of the nastiest places. Now, if I get into matted vegetation or muddy water, then I'm going to spool up with a Kansan braid. And with a braided line, one advantage you have in matted vegetation is it'll cut through that grass so much easier and give you a more solid hookup. So I'm really analyzing the conditions, analyzing the water temperature. All this plays a part in not only what lure I use, but what line I use, so that I can be the best angler I can possibly be. And if you want to be the best angler you can possibly be, spool yourself up with one of Seaguar's lines.